Well, hello everybody. This is Whiskey River here, and today I'm bringing you the Saurophaganax. It's a new mod recently released by Goliath, and I've been checking it out since it came out over the Easter weekend, and this is the Monday after the Easter weekend. So happy Easter to all of you that celebrate it. Hope you had a good weekend. Hope you're having a fantastic day, and thank you for checking out the video. Please give me a like if you do enjoy the video and subscribe if you haven't already. And let me know your comments below. How are you enjoying the Saurophaganax? I'm really liking it. I love this mod actually. I feel like this is what the Aloe should have always been. Um, I'm really impressed with it. I saw George's video. If you haven't seen his video, he posted one. The owner of Apex Killers, going over its strengths and stuff, and he did some fights, and that one's pretty good too. And he was talking about how it actually was pretty balanced when it came out. It fit in pretty nicely with the rest of the roster here on Apex Killers. He balances all the dinosaurs out very nicely, and he made some small adjustments to this one. I think he lowered the combat weight a bit on it, and increase the speed, and it feels really nice. So I played it yesterday for a few hours with some friends, and so I've got some footage for you guys to check out, and you can kind of see how this thing works in real life scenarios. We just walked around the map, and whatever we encountered, we hunted stuff and fought stuff off, and I got some video of that. So it's nothing that's set up. It's not set up fights or anything. It's actually real encounters that we had yesterday. So I think that's a good representation of what you can expect when you're playing this mod, and hope you enjoy the fights. But first off, I just wanted to go over the abilities on this thing. The subspecies that I picked for right now is the attack one. It's only 5% extra attack damage, but I just really liked the way it looked. I like the spikes on its head, and that was enough for me to choose that one. I think probably most people are going to choose the 20% bleed one, which will be good for taking down the bigger prey and stuff like that. But these you can build them out for damage actually. And so that's kind of what I've been doing. Use the regular bite, and then there's this relishing bloodbath hit, which is a dual hit that causes high damage and moderate bleed. And then you could also go with this one, which is a delayed lunging bite that deals major damage and high bleed damage, for the damage options. And then this one here is also high damage and moderate bleed, but every successful hit reduces enemy acceleration by 25% and stamina, and it stacks twice. So that's an interesting one also. I think um, these are meant to be, played in packs, and so I think it would be important for each person in the pack to maybe be running a different setup. I stick with right now. I've been using this relishing bloodbath one. I think it's a good all-round type build for if you're playing solo. This royal guillotine is the one I chose first, and it's cool, but I don't like the way the animation on it is really hard to get used to. It actually caused me to lose a couple of fights because it does this like jump attack. Um, it like lunges you forward. So let me see. I'll just show you this attack here. You can play with all these attacks. I don't want to spend too much of time on it, but this one is just a like that, and you can move while you're doing it. About a 7-second cooldown on it. So that's why I like that one. It's pretty easy to use. Then you use this heavy claw for the larger, does more damage to larger creatures. And then you stomp, getting swarmed, or you can surprise somebody that's tail riding you. The tail knockback is really good on this. I think that's important to use. And then I just use the general damage call to give myself extra damage. If we're going up against herbivores, then I'll swap to that one, or have somebody in the group swap to it. And then this loyal subjects call, I didn't notice that icon coming up, so I'm not really sure if it's not working or the icon's just bugged, but we tried equipping that and using it, and nobody ever saw that icon pop up on the screen, on this screen here, showing you like that orange one there, that's showing you that I'm getting this buff, Reigning King, which is also an interesting one because it says it increases ally, Allosaurus, and Concavenator damage by 10%. and it also provides you and your henchmen a 5% armor buff. So I'm not really sure what henchman means, if that's just anybody in your group. But it says it doesn't work with other Saurophaganax. So I think it's more of a mob boss type thing, where maybe you group up with Concavenators or Allosaurus on the servers that allow that, and then it'll give this to anything that's not a Saurophaganax, that's an Allo or a Conch. But an interesting thing I noticed is that when I do equip it, I get the thing on my screen. So I think that this is applying to me. So I'm personally, it's not going to work for my group, but I'm getting the damage and the armor on it. The alternative is the Disgruntled Alliance one, and that increases damage by 15% for all Saurophaganax when there's another one in the group. So if you're solo, this one's not going to work, so you could use that one. Or that one, Blood Driven Madness, which increases stamina recovery by 15%, and Trot by 10% when you're within 50 meters of a bleeding creature. So everything you're fighting obviously is going to be bleeding. So that's a good one too for when you're solo. And if you're going up against a herbivore, you could switch to a Wall to Overcome, which says herbivores within 25 meters have their sprint drain increased by 10%, and their abnormal conditions heal reduced by 10%. So that's a really good one if you're hunting herbivores. The only challenge to that is that if you're on a server that doesn't allow you to switch abilities without going to the home cave, that can be an issue, because a lot of the things you're going to be fighting are not going to be herbivores, and you're not going to have any kind of a buff. So I personally just like to use this one because it's something that can work no matter what I'm fighting. Or if I'm in a group, then I'll switch to this one unless somebody else already has it. Then you don't need to put it on. And then you could use this one as an alternative to a solo build. But I haven't found stamina recovery or trot speed to be an issue. So I just don't think I'm getting too much out of that one. So I like Reigning King as an all-round type build if I'm just playing by myself, or in general to have that. And then on this server, Apex Killers, you can lay down and switch your abilities. So if I'm about to hunt a herbivore, then I might trade out the 10% damage and the 5% armor for this call here, which will then reduce their sprint drain, and also the herbivore's abnormal conditions heal, which is the bleed heal. Now I am using the attack damage one, so I'm kind of focusing more on attack. So I use the triple sever, which does damage to the heavier stuff. But if you wanted to run a more of a bleed focused build, you could switch to Severing Barrage, and that's going to be reducing the enemy's bleed heal by 10%. So there's a lot of different builds you can use, and I'm sure this is brand new, so this is just the combo I'm kind of using right now as an all-around build that has been working for me pretty good. And I'm sure you guys have all probably found some different ones that are good as well. There's a lot of different builds you could use that are good. So this may not even be. I may switch from this. This is just kind of what I'm doing right now because it's new and it seems to be working for me pretty well. But let me know in the comments below if there's something you've noticed that's even better than this that I should be running or that I should consider. I think a combination of builds would be good though when you're running in a pack for sure. One thing I wanted to point out is this Disgruntled Alliance one. We noticed that if somebody equips that, you group up and equip this, then after you group up and equip it and you see that icon pop up here on the screen next to where that orange one with the green arrow is, it'll show up indicating that you're getting the buff. You can then lay down and switch off of it, and you'll notice that that is still on the screen even after you switch off of it. So I don't know if that's a bug that is only showing the icon on the screen, but we're not really getting the buff, or if we are getting the buff. I think it means we are getting the buff because it did seem like we were doing more damage when we had that set up. So if that's the case, it's probably a bug and it needs to be fixed. But for right now, I think you could equip Disgruntled Alliance and then switch it off to that one or whichever one you want, and you'll still be getting it as long as that's on the screen. So it's a way to get two senses for right now until they fix it. Unless it's just like I said, just an icon on the screen and it's not really working. I don't know. If you know, let me know in the comments below. Definitely interested to learn a little more about that and explore that some more, but that's what it seems right now. So the call the model is great on this. I think the calls too are amazing. These roars. These roars are awesome. Here's the call. I mean, that's awesome. The question, pretty cool. The look around icon. They did a really good job with this. This is probably the best mod I've seen so far to date. All these mannerisms. It's really, really cool. I really like it. Here's the forecall. That's this exclamation. The friendly call. The heart call. And then the broadcast is really cool. So very cool. And it's got a really good animation when it trots around. Runs pretty fast. Doesn't have the best turn radius, so you're gonna really want to hit and run with it a lot. I may go back to the bleed subspecies for that 20% bleed. I don't know, but like I said, this one seems to be working fine for right now, and I really do like the way it looks with the spikes on its head. So I'll stick with that one. A lot of great skins on it too. This is a really cool one, Solstice. A lot of people are using that skin. You can make that one look really, really neat with the different frill colors and stuff like that. Personally, I'm choosing this green one here. I think this one looks pretty cool, and that's the one I've got for now. I may change it. We'll see. But yeah, overall, I think it's a really, really good dinosaur. Great look, great emotes, great sounds. I think all the abilities are really amazing. It's very versatile. You can set it up to be a bleeder. You can set it up to be a damage dealer. You can use combos within your pack to get all the buffs working for the group. So I think it's actually just I think it's going to be really, really an amazing dinosaur, and I really look forward to playing it. So here's some clips. These are some fights that we got into over the weekend. I just, like I said, ran around through Gondola and encountered what we encountered, and the fights ensued, and you'll see how those play out. So I think it's a good representation of what to expect when you're on the dinosaur. I like that style of when I'm reviewing or playing something for the first time. I really like to just go out and see what I encounter rather than trying to set up fights. And kind of having coordinated planned fights is just a little bit different. I think it's important to have just a raw experience and represent something that you might experience yourself when you're just roaming around through Gondola on your own or with a pack. So here it is, and I hope you enjoy it. So we started off at the Broken Tooth Waystone and just started heading out into Gondola. And the first thing we encountered was this DB Giga. And I totally forgot about that stomp, so watch out for that when you're fighting those Gigas, because as you can see, that hurts. So this is kind of a sloppy fight, I guess. We started getting a little bit better at it the more we played them. It was kind of, interesting, sort of there was a bit of a learning curve, just kind of getting used to its movements and its bites and its, animations of its bite and the timing of its bite, from the time you pull the trigger to the time it actually lands the bite. A little bit different on every dinosaur, so we're sort of getting used to it here on this fight. It was a good starting fight for us. So being a bigger, stronger creature, we're trying to do the hit and runs and get our bleed working for us. The thing about those DB Gigas is they do have that bite that takes a chunk off and it heals them and gives them back stamina, kind of like the Tyrannotitan. So it's going to be a little bit trickier with this guy than it would be with other dinosaurs that don't have that. Took way too much damage there in the beginning. I was, like I said, getting used to the animations and the way that the movement of the Saurophaganax, it doesn't quite move as good as an OG Allo does. So the turning wasn't wasn't like what I would expect, and kind of the delay on the bites were kind of strange for me too. So I missed a lot of the bites and took way too much damage in the beginning. But we can be patient here because we do have him bleeding, and we can heal faster than him, hopefully. So if we just play the long game and bleed him out, we'll eventually, hopefully, wear him down. Like I said, I started off with that lunging bite, which is that green dinosaur icon in my ability bar there. And it seems to do a really good amount of damage and bleed, but it's going to take some getting used to the way that it works, because it sort of locks you in place for a second and then you lunge forward. And in some of the fights, it caused me to like lunge. In one case, like I lunged into a pond, and it kind of screwed the fight. And you think you're going to bite in one spot, and it actually jumps and bites in another spot. So I missed a lot of those too. So that's why eventually I switched off it and went with that other bite, the blue-headed bite that does like the 2 bites with moderate damage and bleed. And it seems to be working a little better for me. I like the way it kind of feels more. A lot of times it's not the bite with the most damage you want to go with, it's just the one that feels right for you. And that's kind of how I'm doing it here. When I switch to it in this fight, you can see the movements on my screen. And then also you can see that icon with the teeth. That's the one I'm talking about, that it gives the Saurophaganax the 20 or 15% extra damage, but you have to be careful, because if you hit your pack mate, it's going to deal 25% more damage to them, so you got to be very careful using that ability. But I think most people are good at, if you're good at coordinated and you're in voice chat, you can make it work for you. But we don't have it equipped. We did equip it and then we switched off it, and you can see it's still applying. Apparently it's still applying for us. This is a fight we got into with some other Sauros. And it's close, but we did a little more damage than they did. So I think that's an instance where focusing on damage is going to win you the fight rather than relying on bleed, because it's a short fight rather than a long drawn-out fight. Whereas like the bleed builds are going to be better for the big sauropods and larger creatures that you're going to want to kill over time. That's when the bleed builds will come in handy. Here we were drinking out of the river and this dino attacked Upset. And it was kind of funny because he literally went up to the water and he's like, well, we went over to the cliff, safe area to drink over there, and he kind of right here, and he's like, well, this is where it ends, guys. And he was sort of joking, but sure enough, a dino pops out on him. Now, I played the dino for a little while, and I was ambushing a lot of these Saurophaganax. When they first came out, the map was flooded with them, so I got a ton of really easy ambushes. And I'll tell you what, these Saurophaganax were doing a surprising amount of damage to the dino. As tanky as that dino is, even when I would catch them, they were doing I only had like a third of my health left. So if I wasn't careful, I could have been dead. And there was in one instance where it was only one, and he just tail rode me so bad, it also got me down to like a third health. So I ended up killing him. But it's they can do an amazing amount of damage, really. So you got to be careful with these things. But the fact that they can do that much damage to a dino just goes to show you how strong they are. Now this guy pops out. I don't know what he was thinking. He's a Suka. I guess he thought he was safe because the water's here. But he attacked 3 Saurophaganax, and that's just a really, really bad idea. Even if you just attack 1, it might be a bad idea. But 3 is definitely not smart at all. You can see we're even swimming around here and fighting this guy in water, and these aren't even semi-aquatics. That guy might not have known that bleed and swimming are a really bad mixture for your health. Swimming just maximizes the bleed damage, so it was really, really unwise for him to pick this fight. He almost killed Upset right there. Kind of got lucky, but we've got so much bleed on him here. He needs to get on land and sit, or he's going to die. and he goes right there, bleeds out in the water. So that's actually a body denial, but whatever. We encountered a trike here in Grand Plains. This is a cool fight, and we saw him when we were on our way up, so we did switch over to the herbivore sense that gives us little buffs against herbivores and makes his acceleration lower. I think that really helped there, dodge that charge, and makes his stamina drain worse. So it was nice to be able to get to test that sense out. Upset is using the call that debuffs the herbivores, and I'm using the flat damage call that gives us more damage, so we can both stack those together. He may have been out of range when he used his, but it's still applying to him anyway. Utilize that heavy claw. It does more damage to heavier enemies, in addition to the bleed and damage call, and he finally falls. So that's not too shabby for an EO trike. We didn't really lose all that much health on the fight, so that was good. There's only 2 of us, where max pack is 3. So if we had 3 of them, we would have made even shorter work of that trike. So I think it's a good representation of what to expect when you're fighting a apex herbivore like that. Here's a Tyrannotitan we encountered. And those on this Apex Killers server, they do a massive amount of damage with their heavy bite, and they do a lot of bleed, so this is a good fight for us. And this will wrap up the montage, guys. Again, these are all fights on the Apex Killers community server. Come check it out if you haven't. The dinosaurs are all boosted here. They're balanced very nicely. One of the best I've ever seen, and they feel just perfect when you're using them. So I'm enjoying the Saurophaganax here. I think you will too. I hope to see you out there. And as always, thanks for watching, and I do hope to see you out there in battle. Goodbye.